You know, most war games, they're really exercises in perfect information, kind of like a super complex game of chess. But real war, it's messy, it's unpredictable, it's chaotic. Today, we're going to dive into a game that doesn't just admit that chaos exists, it makes it the absolute star of the show. This is our explainer on Combat Commander.
So this is the big question the game is trying to answer. And its answer isn't about adding more rules or more complicated math. No, it's about leaning into the idea that even the best-laid plans completely fall apart the second the first shot is fired. It's about limiting your control to reflect what a commander actually feels in the field. Just tons of uncertainty, friction, and these fleeting opportunities you have to grab.
This quote, and it's pulled right from the rulebook, is basically the entire design philosophy of Combat Commander right there. This isn't a game about finding the one perfect, optimal move. Not at all. It's a game about adapting, about reacting, and about thriving when everything, and I mean everything, inevitably goes wrong. It's about practicing chaos.
So how does the game pull this off? How does it create all this chaos? Well, it all comes down to one single, absolutely brilliant mechanic, the engine that drives every decision, every action, and every moment of chance in the game, the fate cards.
Okay, here's the absolute key. You are not some all-seeing general with a perfect view of the battlefield. Nope. You're a commander with a hand of cards, and those cards, that's your entire world. If you don't have a card that says fire, your guys can't shoot. If you don't have a move card, they're stuck right where they are. Your brilliant plans are only as good as the cards you're holding.
And what's so cool is just how much information is packed onto a single one of these cards. It's not just for giving orders. You've got your order for your turn, an action to react on your opponent's turn, a potential story event, a random hex for targeting, even the die rolls for combat. Literally everything you need is right there on the card. And this, right here, illustrates the core tension of the game. Every single card in your hand is a dilemma. I mean, do you play this card on your turn for its powerful fire order to attack that machine gun nest? Or do you hold on to it because its ambush action might be the only thing that saves your squad from getting wiped out during your opponent's turn? Every card is a tough choice between being proactive and being reactive.
Okay, so we get the cards in our hand, but what about the actual soldiers on the ground? Let's take a look at the units you'll be leading into the thick of it.
The game keeps the unit scale really clear and intuitive. Each little counter on the board represents either a single, named leader, a small and flexible 5-man team, or a hard-hitting 10-man infantry squad. These are your guys, the pieces you'll be maneuvering across the battlefield.
Each of those units is defined by 4 key stats. Firepower, range, and movement are pretty self-explanatory. But morale is arguably the most important one. It's not a health bar, it's a measure of a unit's will to fight. If they take too much fire and fail a morale check, they break. They hit the dirt, totally suppressed, unable to do anything until you can get a leader over there to rally them.
And let me be clear, your leaders are everything. A good leader doesn't just activate one squad. Their command rating lets them activate multiple units in a radius around them, coordinating a much bigger, more effective attack. And even better, just having a leader nearby inspires the troops, directly boosting all their stats. That lone squad hiding in the woods, they become an absolute killing machine when a leader joins them. You have got to protect your leaders.
So you've got your cards, you've got your troops, you've picked your objective, and you've come up with the perfect plan of attack. You're ready. But in Combat Commander, the battlefield itself has other ideas.
This is where that chaos engine really kicks into high gear. See, it's not just about the cards in your hand limiting you. The game has a way of injecting pure, unfiltered chaos directly into the action, usually at the worst possible moments.
These are called the die triggers. Remember how I said every card has dice printed on it? Well, some of those dice rolls have these little symbols baked right in. When you make an attack, you might not just hit or miss. You might trigger one of these. A random event card could bring you reinforcements, or it could make your best unit run out of ammo. A jammed result, your machine gun breaks right when you need it most. And a time trigger? Well, that just pushes the game closer to its sudden, unpredictable end.
This quote just perfectly captures the feeling of the sniper trigger when that happens. A random spot on the map is picked, and a unit there just instantly breaks. As the rulebook says, this isn't always a hidden marksman. It represents everything. Friendly fire, shell shock, simple bad luck. You know, that one stray bullet or piece of shrapnel that just happens to have your name on it.
So with all this chaos flying around, how do you actually fight a battle and, win? Let's break down the basic flow of the game and what you're actually trying to do on the battlefield.
The turn structure is really this simple, fluid exchange.
The active player plays cards to give orders like move or fire. But, and this is a big but, at any point the inactive player can interrupt by playing a card for its action. This creates this fantastic back and forth where you're never truly safe, even on your own turn. Once all the orders are done, the active player just draws back up to their hand size and the turn is over.
You've got to see the map as more than just a grid. It's a tactical puzzle. Woods and buildings, they don't just block your line of sight, they provide critical cover, which actually adds to your unit's morale, making them way harder to break. Seriously, moving out in the open is a death sentence. Using the terrain to your advantage is the absolute key to survival.
Victory all comes down to earning victory points, and you do that in 3 main ways. First, you get points for eliminating enemy units. Pretty straightforward. Second, you gain points for controlling key objective locations on the map. And finally, you can score big points by successfully getting your units all the way across the board and off your opponent's map edge. A good strategy usually involves a little bit of all 3.
And hey, if you're ever wondering what you should do next, the game gives you this simple but incredibly effective piece of advice from Rommel. Combat Commander really rewards proactive, aggressive play. If you've got the cards, you should be moving, you should be firing, and you should be putting pressure on your opponent. If you just wait for the perfect moment, the game might just end before that moment ever arrives.
And at the end of the day, that's what Combat Commander is all about. It's not a puzzle to be solved, it's a story of chaos that you have to navigate. So, what kind of commander will you be? The cautious one, holding on to cards for the perfect reaction? The aggressive one, constantly pushing forward no matter the cost? Or the flexible leader who can improvise a whole new plan when the old one literally goes up in smoke? The game gives you the tools, but the story? That's yours to write.